exhale.
Get your first month of GLP-1 medication free at Red Mountain Weight Loss. For a limited time, start your weight loss program at Red Mountain and get your first month of semaglutide absolutely free. Red Mountain is the leader in medical weight loss. We've helped thousands of people lose weight by providing expert care for over 30 years now. We don't just sell you medication and send you on your way. We monitor your progress, manage any side effects, and make sure you lose fat, not muscle. When you choose Red Mountain, you're choosing a clinical expert. We don't rent doctors from a shared network. We are the doctors. Why trust your weight loss to him or her? Lose the pronouns and the weight at Red Mountain Weight Loss. Visit us in person or online to meet with doctors you can trust, and we'll ship the medication direct to your door. Get your first month of semaglutide free only at Red Mountain Weight Loss. Go to redmountainweightloss.com. That's redmountainweightloss.com. Red Mountain Weight Loss. Real doctors, real results.
Play Monopoly Scratchers from the Arizona Lottery and bring the game to life. Pass go and collect up to $500,000. Follow the signs and take a chance to win real money and multiply your prize up to 100 times. Imagine your next big adventure with Monopoly Multiplier Scratchers from the Arizona Lottery. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro.
Wish your school better fit your needs? Switching to Primavera Online midyear is easy. Enjoy a flexible online education from the comfort and safety of home, plus exclusive benefits like free private tutoring and merit awards for college and more. Enroll at chooseprimavera.com.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix. It's the lunch break.
A roller coaster ride continues for the Phoenix Suns. Welcome into this Monday edition of the Lunch Break, live on KDUS AM 1060. Always on the KDUS AM 1060 app and on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube channel. Chris Schubert with you for the next 2 hours today in what is going to be a busy, busy week. Spring training in full swing. We're going to debate today who should start opening day for the Diamondbacks. It's Combine Week in the NFL, and yeah, there was some basketball over the weekend.
Time for our top story of the day. It's the Daily Special.
The Phoenix Suns season has been a series of ups and downs. This weekend, no different. Started on Saturday, surviving against the Chicago Bulls. And then it ended yesterday with a disappointing loss in Toronto, a 1-1 weekend, a 1-2 stretch since coming out of the All-Star break, gaining 0 ground in the playoff race. As it sits here today, the Phoenix Suns still sit a game and a half back of the now 10-seeded Sacramento Kings. And you start to get to this place, and I'm sure most of you are at this place, where the math just isn't going to math for this team anymore. That at some point they are what their record says they are, and you no longer believe in them. You've probably been there for a little bit. I am certainly there. I don't find myself watching these games anymore with the expectation that they're going to win no matter who they play. Because everything, even when they win, like they did on Saturday against the Bulls, everything feels difficult. Everything feels like you are pulling teeth. Even when they win, it feels like they had to scratch and claw and give everything they had to beat the Chicago Bulls. They lost by 18 yesterday to the Toronto Raptors, and it felt like it took everything in their power for that to not be a 25-30 point loss. Just everything is difficult. The defense remains difficult. Rebounding remains difficult. The turnovers are difficult. Offensively, things are a struggle. Nothing comes easy for a team that has talent that would indicate certain things should come easy for the Phoenix Suns. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal. A team with this kind of talent shouldn't have these kind of struggles. It shouldn't be this difficult for them to stop teams from scoring 119 points. And if it Was it for Chicago only scoring 117, that stretch would have continued through the weekend because they gave up 120 plus yesterday to Toronto. If you want one stretch of Suns basketball that encapsulates the entire season, I point yesterday to the fourth quarter against Toronto. Go in the Wayback Machine to the 5-minute mark. 5:02 left to go in the fourth quarter. Grayson Allen makes a three, and all of a sudden it is a 105-103 basketball game. Despite playing as poorly as they have played, despite continuing to be one of the worst defensive teams in the entire NBA, somehow, someway, the Suns clawed their way back for it to be a 2-point game with 5 minutes to go. 3-point shot from Grayson Allen makes it a 105-103 game with 5:02 to go. With 1:45 to go in the fourth quarter, so a little less than 4 minutes later, it is 123-107. The Raptors go on an 18-4 run. How do they do it? They make 5, 6 consecutive 3-point shots down the floor. This is how it goes after Grayson Allen hits a three to make it a 2-point game. 3-pointer, making it 108-103. Miss on the offensive end by Royce O'Neal. 3-pointer from Quickly. A 2-pointer from Booker. Another 3-pointer from Quickly. Miss from Royce O'Neal. An offensive rebound by the Raptors. Made 3 from R.J. Barrett. Made 2 by Grayson Allen. Made 3 by R.J. Barrett. A miss, and then another made 3 from R.J. Barrett, and it is 123-107. That stretch right there, that 18-4 run that the Raptors were able to close the game on, from the 5:02 mark all the way down to 1:45, less than 4 minutes, they go on an 18-4 run. That's it. That is Suns basketball this season in a nutshell. All of the hard work to get themselves back into the game yesterday, and like that, it's gone because defensively, they're leaving guys wide open, and offensively, they go cold in key moments. The defense continues to be an absolute disaster night in and night out. It's too easy for the opponents, and everything is difficult for the Phoenix Suns. Everything. All that work to get back within 2 points, and in less than 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you allow an 18-4 run, the game is over. It's done. You made your big run. You put all the pressure on a Toronto Raptors team that's 20-plus games below 500, and they looked like they were a top team in the Eastern Conference yesterday. It looked like you were playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, how easy it was for Toronto in that game yesterday. And so if you're going to lose to Toronto, and I don't care that it was a back-to-back, I don't care that it was another road game, I don't care. Every single game for this team is under a microscope right now. Every single game for this team matters. And they have come out of the All-Star break playing the exact same basketball that they played going into the All-Star break. So that's it. There's nothing more to expect from this basketball team. If you can't beat the Toronto Raptors, if you can barely skate by the Chicago Bulls, how do I expect you to pass the Sacramento Kings? How do I expect you to pull off upsets? Because now that you lost to San Antonio and you lost to Toronto, you got to make it up somewhere. You got to make it up against LA. You got to make it up against Memphis. You got to make it up against Houston, against Sacramento, against Golden State. When you play teams that are in the playoffs, you have to make up those games somewhere along the road. Do you believe in this team right now to make up those games? Again, it goes back to what I said at the top. Everything feels difficult. Everything feels hard for a team that normally when you carry this kind of talent, things come easy to you. When you have Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, things are just supposed to be easy. You're supposed to make it look effortless. You're supposed to make the other team wonder, man, this is tough. We're playing these 3 guys. It's really difficult. It's really hard for us to stop them. Instead, it feels like everything is difficult for you. It feels like you are the team that is facing the big 3. It feels like you are the team that's facing the uphill battle. You have the talent that should make that non-existent. Everything is hard for this basketball team, and it has been all year long. The defense continues to be a no-show. They continue to get cold at key times. Rebounding continues to be a problem. You never have a game, even the game on Saturday that they won against the Bulls, in which the big three looked great. They combined for 80-something points? I think it was like 81 or 82 points. They ended up combining for the three of those guys. Even in that game, when the big three looks the best that they have looked in a really long time, even in that, you barely beat the Chicago Bulls. Even that can't be easy. Even that is not a time where you can turn off the game in the fourth quarter and carry on with the rest of your Saturday, the rest of your weekend. Even in a victory against the Chicago Bulls, things are difficult. And we have warned you over and over and over again how difficult this schedule gets for this team. There is little belief, if any, that this team is going to find a stretch, because they're going to have to go on a 5, 6, 7-game winning streak here, I think, to turn fan sentiment right now. You're probably done with this team. You've probably been done with this team. I try as a radio host to always maybe have that glass half full approach, because we're in the weeds on this, talking every single day about this basketball team. And so maybe I carried on for a little bit too long. But I jumped off on Friday. I jumped off. I said, if you can't beat San Antonio coming out of the All-Star break with everything on the line, needing to have an energetic effort, if you can't do that, if you can't give me that against San Antonio, why should I believe you can do anything the following 27 games? And that was vindicated over the weekend. Now, they have 2 coming up against New Orleans, where they might be able to try to smoke and mirrors and convince us that they're back. And yes, they didn't lose any ground in the playoff race. They are still just 1.5 back of the Sacramento Kings for that 10th spot. Surely it is still mathematically in play. It's not like anybody's going to run away with the 9 or 10 seed in the Western Conference. But boy, am I not pick. There's just not a world or a timeline where I'm going to pick the Phoenix Suns right now to chase down the Sacramento Kings, to chase down the Golden State Warriors. How could you possibly today say that this team is good enough, is in it mentally enough to chase down right now it's the Kings, but it also could potentially be the Warriors at some point? How am I supposed to say that today when you lost by 18 on the road in Toronto? When you once again continue to play some of the worst defense in the NBA? Doesn't matter who you have offensively. If the defense is going to be this bad night in and night out, what can we realistically expect? They're playing poor defensively against bad teams. They played poor defensively against Chicago. They played poor defensively against Toronto. What's going to happen when they play the Lakers? What's going to happen when they play Minnesota again? When they play Houston again? When they play Oklahoma City again? All these good teams, the Clippers, all of these teams in front of them. What's it going to look like then? They do not have an organized defensive outlook right now. That's the biggest problem with this team, is defensively, they are a massive liability every single time on that end of the floor. It doesn't matter if it's in transition. It doesn't matter if it's after a turnover. It doesn't matter if it's after a made basket. It doesn't matter who's carrying the ball. It doesn't matter. They have been bad defensively for about 3 weeks now, and it's been a problem really all year long, but the last 2 or 3 weeks, it has been just magnified. They can't get a stop when they need one they just over and over and over again. When they make these games close. Happened against San Antonio, and it happened last night or yesterday afternoon against Toronto. They made it 105-103, and they couldn't buy a stop. They had all the momentum on their side after Grayson Allen made that 3. Toronto in control for the entire game. Suns led for like 40 seconds or something in the game yesterday. In full control. Lead was always in the double digits. And then the Suns made that little run in the fourth quarter and got it all the way down to 2 points. All the momentum was slanted towards the team with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. All of the momentum slanted towards them. And all they needed to do was really just get one stop. One stop and a made bucket, and it's a tie game, and everything shifts in your direction. And they weren't able to do it. It was 5 or 6 made threes in a row down the floor. Just completely unacceptable. But hey, they didn't lose any ground this weekend. So if you're going to look for a silver lining, they're still just 1.5 back of the Sacramento Kings. So don't give up hope, everybody. They're still just 1.5 games back of the Sacramento Kings for that last play-in tournament spot. Trust me, we've got a lot more to get to today when it comes to the Phoenix Suns because Ryan Dunn's playing time over the weekend was better, but it wasn't what we wanted to see. So we'll get into that a little bit later on here in the program. But coming up on the other side of the break, one word, bold. Is it a word that we can apply to the Cardinals and their offseason plans? That's next on the lunch break. KDUS, AM 1060.
Your caddy, Ray Adams, takes you beyond the 18th hole on Saturday mornings with Great American Golf from 6 to 7 a.m. on KDUS, AM 1060.
Rock legend Billy Idol. Live in Phoenix. Billy Idol. It's a nice day to tour again. With very special guest Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Live at Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater, April 30th. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
Stars are shining down on Goldberg and Osborne. The Eagle has more than 2,200 5-star Google reviews from across Arizona. Like these.
They go that extra mile to let you know they care. A wonderful experience.
They treat their clients like family, and their professionalism is the best in the business.
They made sure I got a great offer. Like a bulldog, they fought for me.
Well said, everyone. After any accident, remember, the bird is the word. Visit Goldberg and Osborne at 1-800-THEEAGLE.com.
The Renaissance Festival is back. Weekends now through March 30th. Be ready to have a great time. Amazing adventure awaits the entire family. New shows, shopping, jousting nights, non-stop feasting. Leave your cares behind. Happiness reigns at the Renaissance Festival. It's fun and affordable. You'll love the Renaissance. Visit now through March 30th. Discount tickets available at Bashers' and Food City or online at arizona.renfestinfo.com. Presented by Delta Airlines, Bashers', Food City, Pepsi, Budweiser, and Guinness. Huzzah!
Did you know that Harrah's Auction Casino is your key to nationwide fun? That's right. You'll unlock perks at more than 50 destinations from coast to coast at your local home for Caesars Rewards. Free dining in Atlantic City? Yes. Free slot play in Maricopa? You bet. Free hotel stays in New Orleans? Oh, yeah. What are you waiting for? Harrah's Auction Casino. Play for all. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 or 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Visit the Caesars Reward Center for details.
Jerome with your Rome Report, USA v. Canada. In the Four Nations Face-Off Championship game, an incredible win for the Canadians, a heartbreaking loss for the Americans, and an enormous win for hockey overall, especially here in the States. That game absolutely delivered, and so did the tournament. Even if the powers that be had no idea that it would be so incredible. I mean, how could they? How could anybody have seen that coming? But maybe we should have, because hockey is just different, and the athletes that play that sport are just different. And that's what you get when a collection of athletes come together and they actually care. Granted, the built-in rivalry does help. I'll acknowledge that. But find me another sport where players will leave their teams midseason, risk injury, and lay it all on the line for an exhibition. You can't. It doesn't exist. No other sport can replicate what we saw last night, because you'll never find a group of athletes that care that much, who will play for something so much bigger than themselves. And hopefully, we get to run it all back in a year's time in the Winter Olympics. I'm Jim Rome. The second half of the basketball season is here, and the race to the playoffs continues on Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. The app is so simple. Just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Download the Prize Picks app today, use the code ROME, and get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. That's code ROME on Prize Picks to get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. Win or lose, you'll get $50 in bonus credit just for playing, and it's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. You do have to be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or on third-party delivery platform.
The absolute best interviews and guests. Tune in to The Dan Patrick Show, live, weekdays from 7 to 10 a.m. on KDUS AM 1060.
We are inching closer and closer. Before you know it, the end of this week, Saturday, the calendar flips to March. A couple weeks after that, it will be the NFL free agency frenzy, where teams will put their offseason plans into effect. They will try to improve their rosters ahead of the NFL draft in April, and we are going to start to see the groundwork laid for that this week. We'll touch in hour number 2 of the program about it being Combine Week and that getting underway later on this week. Runs through the weekend, media availability starting for coaches and GMs over the next 2 days, and then we'll start getting into the workouts. We'll get to that in hour number 2 of the program. But I used the word bold, and I asked if it is a word that we could use to apply to the Arizona Cardinals and their offseason plans. What would a bold offseason look like for this team? If we're going to use that word, we're going to say they had a bold offseason, what would it look like? And to me, it would be a heavy investment across multiple phases of the offseason into revamping this offensive line. We've said this before on the show that we think the approach for this team should be as follows. Pass rush via free agency. And that means in all phases and fashions, top end of the market, the middle part of the market, the 1-year flyer prove-it deal end of the market, but also attacking the draft, even though you have limited picks, taking multiple swings at trying to find your Myles Garrett, your Max Crosby, and also not shying away from if a team would ask for your first-round pick, trading it for an impact pass rusher. That's bold to me. It would be bold for Monty Ossenfort to trade his first-round pick for a pass rusher. It would be bold to use the draft, trades, free agency to get multiple guys in the building at one position. That's bold. That is making a statement. We think this is the missing piece. We think we are just an overhaul of this group away from winning this division, from hosting a playoff game, from breaking through in year 3. And truthfully, could you blame them for thinking that today? Now, I hear you. Concerns about Kyler Murray, concerns about the way he played in the second half, concerns about the second halves that he has played his entire career, how he has played in November and December in meaningful football games, how he's played against the NFC West. Don't worry, I hear you and your concerns. But this team was 6-4 going into their bye week last year. They came out of that bye week into their final stretch of games, and they didn't play well. Kyler didn't play well. That home game against Seattle, one of the worst performances I think he's had in his career, considering the circumstances, considering what was at stake. Took his team out of the game before we could even get to the second quarter. So I hear you. But we also need to face the truth that they didn't have a pass rush all year. Some of these games are different if the defense can get after the quarterback. And Kyler still has a pretty decent floor and a pretty decent ceiling as a quarterback. I think you can get to the playoffs with Kyler Murray. You need the right pieces around him. In my past life, working in the NFL draft space, I had multiple people that taught me a phrase, and you might hear me use it quite a bit in the lead up to the draft when we start talking about these quarterbacks. Sometimes there's a quarterback who's a truck, and sometimes there's a quarterback who's a trailer. What do I mean by that? The truck, the engine behind the wheel, carrying the trailer, carrying the rest of the team, being able to put the team on his back, being able to carry that team. Some quarterbacks are trailers where they're great, but they need somebody else to carry them. I'll give you a perfect example of a quarterback that I think is a trailer, not a truck, but I think a quarterback you can win with. Jared Goff in Detroit. I don't know if he's a truck. I think he's more of a trailer. I think Kyler Murray is more of a trailer than he is a truck. I think he needs the right pieces around him, needs the right structure around him in order to succeed. But I think you can succeed with him. Part of putting those pieces around him is investing heavily into fixing up this defense, fixing up this front seven. So bold to me would be we get to June, July, and we're talking about a team that traded their first-round pick for Myles Garrett, that spent free agency money on Milton Williams and Josh Sweat. That's bold. We're going all in. We're pushing all the chips in the middle. We're going to overpay for those guys. We're going to trade a first-round pick. That's bold. Plausible? Realistic? No, but that's bold. That's what that word means to me. That's what I would want to see if you told me they were going to have a bold offseason. So when ESPN put out a story going through all 32 teams and talking about what would make a bold offseason, and the boldness being for the Cardinals just taking some players off of San Francisco's aging and old defense, that's not bold to me. That is complacency. That is safe. That is stealing players from a team that's had success and just trying to catch some lightning in a bottle. You may say signing Milton Williams, signing Josh Sweat would be the same thing, right? Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, a lot younger than the options that you would be taking off of the San Francisco 49ers defense. Here is another important question that we will only get answered through actions. In order to be bold, the Cardinals might have to go past their limits in the past. What do I mean by that? Here is the active cash that has been spent by the Arizona Cardinals over the last 5 years. In 2020, they were 15th in the league with $180.4 million. In 2021, they were 12th in the league with $169 million. Now, these first couple of numbers are going to be weird here because of the COVID years and the way that they smoothed the cap and the numbers. But in 2022, they were 31st at $108.3 in active cash. In 2023, they were 27th with $158.4 million. And last year, they were 24th in the league in active cash spend at $191.7 million. Right now, they currently sit at $161.4 million and in 28th spot. Over the last 4 years in active cash spend, they've been towards the bottom of the league. Will they change course? Will there be a renewed sense of aggressiveness in terms of the dollars that they have committed? Active cash spend over the last 5 years, they have not gone past the $200 million mark. They got close last year at 191.7. They're currently sitting at 161.4. So $30 million would take them to the number that they had last year. If they wanted to go beyond that, they would enter territory that we have not seen them have over the last 5 years. So will they be bold? That would be bold. That would be something different. That would be something we haven't seen Michael Bidwell and multiple front offices do. And the last 2 years, you can directly look at Monty Ossenfort and say you spent 27th and 24th in active cash over the last 2 years. You were bottom third of the league in that regard. Are you now all of a sudden going to be back toward where you were in 2020 and 2021, where you're top half of the league? That would be bold. That would tell me that they are pushing their chips into the middle, that they're going for it. So do we expect them to go beyond their past history? That's how you're bold. You're bold by throwing every resource you have at solving your pass rush issue and not caring that you may overpay, that you may invest too many resources. It is a problem that doesn't just need a Band-Aid, it needs major surgery. And the only way to perform that surgery is to throw everything that you have at it. Dollars, cap space, draft picks, trades, everything. You need to throw everything at the wall and see what is able to stick. That's bold. Taking players from the San Francisco 49ers defense in free agency, wouldn't describe that as bold. I wouldn't describe that as making your mark the way we think this team needs to this offseason. We'll start to get the glimpses of this over the next couple of days. We'll touch on this in hour number 2 of the program. We may start to learn a little bit about what they're trying to do, who they're going to prioritize. And I'll tell you why we will potentially start to learn that information a little bit later on here in the program. Coming up on the other side of the break, over the weekend was back to what it was supposed to be. How long will it last? That's next. The lunch break, KDUS, AM 1060.
James Out West brings NFL, NBA, MLB, and local sports talk to you Monday night starting at 7 on KDUS AM 1060 and the KDUS 1060 app.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona.
Deftones. North American Tour 2025. Live in Phoenix. Footprint Center, March 9th. With special guests, the Mars Volta and Fleshwater. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Presented by the Big Red Radio.
I was in a wreck. I need a check.
I was in a wreck. I need a check.
I was in a wreck. I need a check.
I'm attorney Kevin Rowe. Being in an auto accident is traumatic. You need to call the best law firm that has the experience to get you the best results. Call 977-1900. That's 977-1900.
Is the way to go. Call 977-1900. 977-1900.
When you help St. Mary's Food Bank feed Arizona families in need, it feeds something in you too. It feels great knowing you're helping others put food on the table. And it feels like nothing to your wallet, because you get a dollar for dollar Arizona charitable tax credit up to $938. So donate today at stmarysfoodbank.org. You feed others, and your kindness doesn't cost you a thing.
Here's a definition of a win-win situation. Getting your windshield repaired or replaced and getting a guaranteed minimum of at least $100 all the way up to $375 cash back in your pocket. Time for you to check out New Vision Auto Glass. See clearly, drive safely. See what I did there? Give them a call at 480-210-9090 or go to newvisionautoglass.com to see what kind of incentives and cash back you qualify for. Look, the valley heat, potholes, flying rocks, it's only a matter of time until your windshield gets cracked or chipped. So why not get the experts to come to you? Repair or replace your windshield, give you instant cash back of up to $375, and give you dinner from Rodizio Grill. Wait, hold up. 30-second, $375, new windshield, dinner. You know what? I was wrong. It's not a win-win situation. It's a win-win-win-win. And it all starts with calling 480-210-9090 or going to newvisionautoglass.com, taking 30 seconds to fill out a form to get cash in your pocket, repair or replace your windshield, dinner at Rodizio Grill, and peace of mind. To me, the choice is clear. New Vision Auto Glass, proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Make sure you download the KDUS AM 1060 app so you can take us with you on the go. Wherever you get your apps, just download the KDUS AM 1060 app today. Your one-stop shop for everything we've got going on here at KDUS AM 1060. It was something new over the weekend, but it wasn't that new because it was something old. It was how we started the year. Because over the weekend, the Suns went back to something. They went back to the big three starting together. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal back in the starting lineup together. Tyus Jones moved to the bench. I guess we'll take a little solace in that fact. We've been pushing for that move to happen. We've been pushing for Tyus Jones to no longer be the starting point guard for this team. It just has not been working. The turnovers have been brutal. They just needed some type of change. I didn't expect them to go back to this. I thought they might give somebody else an extended run at the point guard spot, but I can't be too surprised. The idea in the first place when they moved Bradley Beal to try to separate him and Tyus Jones together, they have not been very good defensively, although the whole team defensively has been a problem this year. So I shouldn't be too surprised that they just went back to the big three starting, and that's what they did. And it worked on Saturday. It was good. They played well. They scored a combined, I'll check my notes here, 81 points together in their 121-117 win over the Chicago Bulls. Booker leading the way with 29, Bradley Beal with 25, Durant with 27. It's like it was how it was supposed to be. Those three guys combining for 80-something points. Bradley Beal getting involved, being able to be a major contributor. This is what this team was supposed to be at the start of the year. These three guys leading the way. When they score 75 or more, you feel really good about the team's chances to win because that means they're all on fire, in lockstep, working together, on the same page. Things are flowing correctly. So it worked out well on Saturday. A combined 81 points between the three. And then there was Sunday. Yesterday. The 127-109 loss to the Toronto Raptors, where it did not work as well. Booker scored 31, yes. Beal scored 30, yes. Durant only scored 15. So they combined for, that's 76 points. So almost as much as their night out against the Chicago Bulls. But they couldn't play defense. They couldn't get a stop. So even though you had Booker and Beal go into the 30s, and even though Bradley Beal has been playing some of his best basketball as of late, these two games back in the starting lineup, he's been good. Before the break, he dropped 25 against Oklahoma City. Dropped 25 in that overtime loss to Portland. Dropped 19 the other night against San Antonio, coming off the bench. He's been good the last couple of games for this team. But it just isn't working because of the defense. And Coach Bud making the decision to go back to the big three, to switch things up with the starting lineup, is another example. They're trying. They are trying everything in their power to get this right. Now, you're limited in how many options you have, right? There's no trade deadline to add new players. You are constricted with the roster that you have. So after a while, you've tried all of the combinations that you're willing to try or that you can try to attempt to fix this, to attempt to turn things around, to attempt to be able to play just average level defense in the NBA, to give yourself a chance every night. Because, look, we know that Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker can score. Scored 76 last night. Scored 81 the other night. They can score. That's not the problem with this team right now. The problem with this team right now is on the defensive end. And so Coach Bud going back to Bradley Beal in the starting lineup might have been a signal of, hey, we're just going to try to outscore everybody. And it worked on Saturday against the Bulls. You were able to outscore the Bulls. It didn't work on Sunday. If this team goes cold at a bad time, or this team just has a couple of slow stretches to either start the game or to finish a game, or coming out of the break going into the second half, as we've seen time and time again, third quarters being a struggle for them, they can't win basketball games. They have to figure out their issues defensively. So you went back to this as your starting lineup. You went back to Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker playing together over the weekend. How long can this realistically last? How long can you continue to trot out this version of the Phoenix Suns and watch defensively these problems continue to pile up before you try something new? Again, I appreciate the effort to try. I appreciate the willingness to go back to something to see if this works, changing up the rotations, changing up who's getting time. I do have a problem with one person and their lack of minutes lately. We'll touch on that at the top of hour number 2 of the program. Don't worry. Got a lot to say about Ryan Dunn, at least getting more than 20 seconds over the weekend. But I can appreciate a coaching staff that is willing to try. I can appreciate a coaching staff that is willing to leave no stone unturned in their pursuit to try to fix this. Because let's, for just a second, look at the math here. We would all agree that this team has played poorly all year. we would all agree this team has not met expectations. We'd all agree. Most of us are kind of done with this team. Most of us are ready to look towards the summer. Most of us are ready to see what's going to happen with Kevin Durant, what's going to happen with Devin Booker, what's going to happen with the coaching staff, in the front office. A lot of us have started to look ahead. We're not dealing with the day-to-day anymore. We'll take this in chunks, 3, 4, 5 games, but we are looking ahead towards the summer where this team maybe gets on to the correct path. Yet this team is just 1.5 games out of a playoff spot. Again, it would require them to do something we haven't seen them do yet, and that is go on a nice run. But they're still just 1.5 games out of a play-in tournament spot. It is still right there in front of them. So I still want to see my coaching staff. I still want to see the front office. I still want to see the organization as a whole continue to go for it. Because while, yes, they are playing poorly, they are just 1.5 games out. They are one good stretch of basketball on their side and one bad stretch of basketball from the Kings or the Warriors. And by the way, I don't think the Warriors are going to be losing anytime soon since they have acquired Jimmy Butler. I think they've lost just one game since bringing him into the fold. They have been very good. He has been exactly what that team has needed. They beat Dallas over the weekend and were impressive in doing so. And it feels like they have a new energy about them. Can't say the same thing about the Phoenix Suns. But 1.5 games. You don't give up on seasons when you are 1.5 games out with 20-something games to go. You just can't do that as an organization. Even though we know where this is trending, even though we know where this is headed, you can't give up. You can't give up if you're this coaching staff. You can't give up if you're the players. You can't give up if you're the front office. There are jobs on the line. There are futures on the line. But also, there's just too much basketball still to be played at this point. One stretch could have you holding on to that spot. Now, you just lost to Toronto yesterday, so how likely is it that you are going to do that? But I like a coaching staff that is still trying because it is still worth a try. You might be messing up in one regard, but there is no real harm in continuing to try. Again, there's one exception to that. We're going to talk about it at the top of hour number 2 of the program. But overall, you got to go for this. You got to try. We're not asking you to trade the farm for Jimmy Butler. We're not asking you to trade the farm to acquire players. We're just asking you, this group, give it a run. Give it a shot. And so the coaching staff's going to try. They're going to put Bradley Beal back in the starting lineup. They're going to try to change the rotations, give some guys different minutes. Try different groups of 5 out there to try to see if something sparks, to see if something gets this team going. This current iteration, with the starting 5 being the way it is, with Bradley Beal back in the starting lineup, how long is it going to last? I don't know. It'll be solely dependent on how well this team plays. If they are able to go on a little bit of a mini run, then you'll stick with the hot hand. If they continue to struggle, then expect this coaching staff, this team, to try something new, to continue to try stuff. You'll get a little bit of a run. You might get another week with this as the run. And then you're going to try new things. And at some point, not right now, but at some point, you are going to wave the white flag and you are just going to empty the tank and you're going to play the youngsters. You're going to get them the valuable experience and you're going to try to set yourself up for next year. That time is not right now, though. Again, one major exception that we're going to talk about in hour number 2 of the program. But overall, this is an organization and a coaching staff that is trying. This is them going back to the way it was supposed to be at the start of the year with these 3 guys sharing the floor together at the start of the game. Mixed returns over the weekend. 1 win, 1 loss. Again, the defense is the big thing, and I don't know if there's a combination of players that fixes that. Coming up on the other side of the break, Corbin Burns or Zach Gallen? Who should get the start on opening day? That's next on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
The Dan Patrick Show improves your mornings. The DP Show airs from 7 to 10 a.m., adjusting to that time change.
Okay.
Get your radios locked to 7 a.m. on KDUS AM 1060.
9 Inch Nails. Live at Footprint Center, September 16th. Get tickets now at NIN.com. 9 Inch Nails, live in Phoenix. Peel It Back World Tour 2025.
Traffic? Get your sip on. Detour to McDonald's for deliciously bold premium roast coffee. Or maybe it's time to sweeten up that mid-afternoon slump with an icy cold sweet tea. Sip up. Or get your favorite soft drink to perk up after a long day at work. Sip yourself to happiness. Right now, get any size premium roast coffee, sweet tea, or soft drink for only $1.29. When you sip a good drink from McDonald's, it's all good. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire America's largest injury law firm for your case? There's lots of reasons. Just like there's a reason millions of people called us last year in their time of need. When it comes to fighting for justice and compensation, millions of people across the country trust us to go to battle for them. We became the largest injury law firm in the world for a reason. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Are you tired of seeing rust stains in your sinks? Call Culligan. Or scrubbing hard water scale buildup from your fixtures? Call Culligan. We can customize whole home solutions to address common water worries found in Phoenix. And now, for a limited time, you can get better water at every tap in your home for $0 down, no payments, and no interest for 6 months. Problem water is no problem for Culligan. Contact your local water expert today. Contaminants may not be in your water. Dealer participation may vary. See dealer for details.
The NAIA, JUCO, small college, high school sports, and you. Listen to Vince and Friends with the Varsity Sports Show here on KDUS AM 1060, Saturday mornings at 9 a.m.
We move closer and closer to opening day. Potentially one of the harder questions that Torey Lovello is going to have to answer between now and the start of opening day is who's getting the ball? Who's going to make that opening day start for the Arizona Diamondbacks? You have two options between Corbin Burnes and Zach Allen. Zach Allen going to make his first spring appearance later on today. Corbin Burnes made his at the end of last week, and it was perfect. It was a perfect start for Corbin Burnes last Friday in his first spring start. And it'll be Zach Allen's turn today. And so I guess what we can do here is make the case for both of these guys. And Steve Gilbert, who covers the Diamondbacks for MLB.com, wrote a piece with some quotes from Torey Lovello of how difficult a decision this is going to be, that this is truly one of the things that this team has to consider, right? Is it going to be Corbin Burnes? Is it going to be Zach Allen on opening day? So on this show, we will make the case for both gentlemen. We'll start with Corbin Burnes. Start with the guy that, as Steve pointed out in his piece, because he started, I believe it was on Friday, that lines up perfectly with his turn in the rotation coming up on opening day, whereas Zach Allen, who's going to start today, that lines up with him making the second start of the season timing-wise. So if you just take where they started at the beginning of spring and you extrapolate it out, it takes us to Corbin Burnes, opening day starter, Zach Allen starting the second game. Torey kind of threw some cold water on that and said, don't read too much into that. There's off days. There's all sorts of stuff that can move the schedule around between now and opening day. But it was something that was pointed out in the piece. But for Corbin Burnes, he's been an ace everywhere he's gone. Cy Young candidate every single year. Has a longer track record of stability than Zach Allen. Now, I don't want to be the guy that tries to talk down Zach Allen, but we're just making the case here for Corbin Burnes. Has been an ace everywhere he's gone. Milwaukee was an ace. Frontline starter. Was the leader of that pitching staff as they were able to make postseason run after postseason run. Gets moved to Baltimore in the offseason. Goes to Baltimore 1 year. There was the ace. Dominant. Cy Young candidate every single year is the floor for Corbin Burnes. That's the floor for him, is a Cy Young candidate. If he is healthy, the floor for Corbin Burnes. And I think we should just remove that from our baseball lexicon if he's healthy. Things happen in baseball, so we should just assume that's part of it. But Corbin Burnes every single year is a Cy Young candidate. Diamondbacks are not getting somebody past their prime. We've told you this in the past. This is not Madison Bumgarner. This is a different cat. This is a different scenario. This is a guy who's a front line, take the ball every fifth day, no nonsense. I'm the leader. I'm the workhorse. I'm going to throw 200-plus innings. I'm going to make 30 starts. You don't have many guys like Corbin Burns in baseball anymore. You can count on one hand the number of guys that do what Corbin Burns does. You can count on one hand the number of pitchers in baseball that can give you 30-plus starts, that can throw 200-plus innings, that could be as dominant as Corbin Burns has been in his career. That's what the Diamondbacks have in Corbin Burns. So that's the case because you have a guy who can make 30-plus starts. And so if he can make 30-plus starts, he's the type of guy you want to make 30-plus starts. You want him to throw 200-plus innings because of how good he can be. And he has been the ace. He has been the workhorse, the frontline number one starter at his 2 previous stops. So that would be the case for Corbin Burns. The case for Zach Allen is more of a nostalgic one. It's more of a institutional one. This is the guy who has been here. This is the guy who was here when this team made a run to the World Series. This was the guy that led the team to the World Series. This is the guy who's been our ace from the moment he was traded here from Miami all that time ago. Since the moment he was traded here, he has been the ace. He has been the number one starter. Now, again, has missed some time, hasn't always been healthy, but when he has been healthy, he has been a Cy Young candidate in his own right. Not year in and year out. He's had some struggles on the road at times. He has his warts, but he has been the guy, the ace, our ace, if you are the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's the case that you would make if you want Zach Allen to be the opening day starter. All I hear when discussing these two guys, all I hear when making the case for these two guys, what a good problem to have if you're Torey Lovullo. Truthfully, there's not a wrong answer. No matter what you decide, if things go according to plan, you're going to have Corbin Burns and Zach Allen pitch back-to-back when their turns come up in the rotation. That's a pretty nice luxury to have. How many teams in baseball can feel that comfortable with the front of their rotation? The Dodgers, sure, they can feel that comfortable with the front end of their rotation. They can feel that comfortable with their whole rotation. But how many other teams would get added to that list? And we're just talking Corbin Burns and Zach Allen here. I haven't even mentioned Merrill Kelly, who absolutely deserves to be in that consideration when comparing the Diamondbacks rotation to other rotations in baseball. A great problem to have. In an era of baseball where some teams barely have one reliable, trustworthy frontline starter, you could make the case the Diamondbacks have 3. I would very much feel comfortable saying they have at least 2. That is a luxury that other teams in baseball are going to start the year not having. The Diamondbacks have that luxury. So a good problem for Torey Lovullo to have, a good situation that he has to decide on before opening day. And you know what? It's a good thing if both of these guys make it through spring and they're healthy and they force Torey Lovullo to make that tough decision. Here's the other question, though. Does it really matter who's the starter on opening day? Does it really matter who takes the ball on opening day for the Diamondbacks? It's best on best, right? On opening day, best on best. And Steve points this out in the story. Opening day, your best against their best. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's ready to go. You're number one versus another team's number one. Throughout the year, some teams use 6-man rotations. Some teams use openers. Some teams have injuries. Very rarely are you going through every time through the rotation and Corbin Burns or whoever the opening day starter is going to be is always going to match up against with another team's best. It's a point that Steve mentions in his story of does it really matter because you're not going best on best every single time through the rotation. And truthfully, it matters for this one day. It matters because it signals to the fan base, it signals to the team, it signals to baseball as a whole, this is our ace, this is our guy. And you would assume most of the time that guy who starts opening day, if he's healthy, is more than likely going to be your starter in a game one come a big playoff series. That's the guy you rely on. That's the guy you point to. We need to win this game. Game 3, Game 5, Game 7 in the playoffs, got to have it. This is the person I want on the mound. That's normally what you're saying when you pick an opening day starter. And it probably matters to those guys. It would probably matter to Zach Allen to have an opening day start. Matters to Corbin Burns to be named an opening day starter. That carries some prestige. You're not going to see it on a Wikipedia page, started opening day X number of times. You're not going to see it on a back of a baseball card, but it does matter. It matters to these guys. You've worked so hard to get to this point, and your organization has the trust and faith in you to start the season with you. You care about those things. They might be little in the grand scheme of things, but they matter. I don't envy the decision that Torey Lovullo has to make, deciding between these two guys. If I had to guess, my gut tells me it'll be Corbin Burns. Paid him all that money. He's been the more consistent of the two guys. And I know Zach Allen, institutional figure here, right? It's been here for a long time, has overseen the transformation of this organization from struggles, 100-plus loss seasons, to relevant World Series appearance, National League champions, almost made the playoffs last year, a team that wants to make noise this year. I get all that. That would be the legacy play. That would be the institutional play. I don't think you can go wrong either way, but I think based on the way it's set up already, based on the way Corbin Burns has carried himself in previous stops, that the Diamondbacks are going to turn the ball over to him on opening day. And then Zach Allen will start game 2, and we'll probably make a big deal out of it when it gets announced, when one of these guys is named the opening day starter, and then we'll forget about it years down the road. And then if you're like me, you'll be out with buddies at a bar, and you'll try to remember opening day starters across across baseball. I can't tell you how many times I have gone out with a certain 2 friends of mine, and we will be at a sports bar watching something, and we will break out our phones, and we will go on the Sporkle app, the trivia app, and I can't tell you how many times we devolve into, can you name the opening day lineups for all 30 major league teams in 2018? And we're just shouting names at each other. That's when you'll remember who started opening day in 2025 for the Diamondbacks. By the midway point of the season, it's not going to matter. All you're going to care about are Corbin Burns and Zach Allen healthy, and are they pitching well? You're not going to care that Zach Allen or Corbin Burns started opening day over the other guy. My guess right now, it would be Corbin Burns, but I would not be shocked if they went with the legacy play and made Zach Allen the opening day starter. But a good problem to have, and a problem that is reserved for a few teams in Major League Baseball. A few teams have this problem. It is a good problem to have, and it is a privilege and a luxury that the Diamondbacks have this problem. That Torey Lovullo has to make this decision. So we can debate it, and it's a fun little debate. But overall, the takeaway here, there's a lot of other teams in baseball that are envious of the position that the Diamondbacks are in right now, that are envious of that choice that Torey Lovullo gets to make. And he has definitely made it clear that he appreciates the luxury that this decision is for him. Hour number 1 of the program in the books. Coming up, hour number 2. Listen, he got more than 20 seconds of playing time over the weekend, so it was an improvement. But I'm going to tell you why I still think it is a worrying sign for the future. That's how we'll start hour number 2 of the lunch break. Next, KDUS, AM 1060.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe, Phoenix, and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale, Phoenix.
Do you know when you realize you made a horrible mistake and got stuck with the wrong injury lawyer? When it's too late. Hi, I'm Mark Breyer.
And I'm Alexis Breyer. We're the husband and wife law team. You can protect your rights by asking the right questions. When was the last time the leaders of the firm went to trial? And why does their fee go up if they have to file suit after an unfair offer?
That's right, Alexis, but we know those firms don't want you asking those questions, and they're not going to answer them. They're going to dance around it. Do your research after a serious injury. Call the husband and wife law team first.
Pierce the Veil. I Can't Hear You World Tour 2025. Pierce the Veil, live in concert in Phoenix. with Sleeping with Sirens and Beach Weather. Live at Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater, June 15th. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
If Heineken Silver was a 60-second radio ad, it'd tell you all the stuff you need to know in only 30 seconds to keep things light and refreshing. Seriously, time me. Heineken Silver, a world-class light beer that's surprisingly crisp and refreshing. Made with only premium quality ingredients and just 2.9 grams of carbs and 95 calories. All without compromising on taste. Heineken Silver. Order now at Heineken.com/silver. Must be 21 and older to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly. Whew. 30 seconds. That's it. Done. Peace.
Chase wants everyone to be able to have a place of their own. That's why we offer mortgages that help you purchase your new home with down payments as low as 3%. To find out more about our low down payment options and other ways Chase can make your home buying dreams a reality, visit chase.com/homebuyer or your local Chase branch. Loan amount, loan value, and loan product type limits apply. Geographic restrictions may apply for jumbo loans. Products are subject to credit and property approval. Program terms are subject to change without notice. Other limitations and restrictions apply. Home lending products provided by J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC, equal housing opportunity.
When you're injured on the job, you need more than just a workers' comp lawyer. When you need a fighter, you need us. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. For the people. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Let me introduce y'all to my canes. We got chicken figures. They hit the spot, baby. Fries are golden crispy, Texas toast crunchy, and they cane sauce creamy rich. One love.
Wish your school better fit your needs? Switching to Primavera Online mid-year is easy. Enjoy a flexible online education from the comfort and safety of home, plus exclusive benefits like free private tutoring and merit awards for college and more. Enroll at chooseprimavera.com.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Number 2 of the lunch break. Appreciate you joining us here to start your week. Got multiple ways to listen to us. KDUS AM 1060. You can also join us on the KDUS AM 1060 app, or you can always hop in via the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube channel. It was an improvement yesterday, or over the weekend, I should say. It was an improvement because after playing only 20 seconds against the Spurs, we got nearly 7 minutes of action in the 2 games over the weekend. Now, those of you out there who are sticklers for the details would point out that Ryan Dunn didn't play at all in the game against the Chicago Bulls, and all 6 minutes and 51 seconds that we saw him in over the weekend were yesterday against the Toronto Raptors. But listen, on a per average basis, over his last 2 games, way more than the 20 seconds he got against the San Antonio Spurs. Here's where I want to start, though. Has this team just given up defensively? Is this team just admitting that they can't get a stop? That there's just nothing that they can do to improve their defense? We told you about that stretch. To end the game? 5 minutes to go, team's up by 2. Over the next 4 minutes, 18-4 run with the game on the line. They are unable to get a key stop. And the defense is a key reason for that. It is a key reason why this team is sitting 1.5 games back of a playoff spot. It is a key reason why this team can't string anything together. What did we say going into the weekend? It was 8 straight games of giving up 119 points or more. Joe Bourget put out a tweet last night that I just pulled up. I wanted to share it with you all in case you haven't seen it, because I think this is just encapsulates everything that's wrong with this team. The Suns cut it to 2 points and then proceed to give up 6 consecutive three-pointers to the NBA's 20th ranked team in three-point percentage. I don't want to hear anything about the offense for a while. I can't disagree with that point. I can't disagree with the focus needing to be on the defense. We continue to watch this team night in and night out be horrendous defensively. Horrendous. It's absolutely terrible. And I hate being this guy, okay? Because I think in radio, in hot take media, we're too quick to throw this out there. We're too quick to jump to this conclusion. And I'll use a word. I think it's lazy at times to go to this place because I think we go to it too often. Defense is an effort thing. I don't like being the guy whose job it is to sit behind a microphone and talk about a team playing a sport, questions a team's effort. I don't like being that guy, but defense is an effort thing. Defense is a I want it more than you want it thing. You don't have to be the most skilled defender. You don't have to be the most skilled player. You don't have to be the best scorer to play good defensively. You don't have to be a top 15 player in the NBA to provide defensive intensity and defensive effort and affect that end of the floor. Some of the best players defensively in the NBA, you would say, are not top 15 overall players. There are some, Wemby, a top example of it, but a bunch of players who are on the short list for Defensive Player of the Year wouldn't also make the list of top 10, top 15 players in the NBA. Some would, but the vast majority wouldn't. Why? Defense is an effort thing. Defense is looking across the court at the other team and saying, tonight, I want this more than you want it. I am going to make you work for every single point that you score. I'm going to make, you might score 110. It's going to be a grind for you. I watch Phoenix Suns basketball. You watch Phoenix Suns basketball. Does it feel like on the defensive end, teams have to work hard to score their points? Does it seem like teams go through a gauntlet to score 110, 115? Does it look difficult for them to have a good night offensively? Or does it look like every single team is having their best offensive outing of the year when they play the Phoenix Suns? Which one is it? The effort isn't there. The intensity isn't there. And so when the best defensive player that the team has, and I'm not reading the scouting report on Ryan Dunn again. I'm not doing it. I got very angry on Friday talking about that scouting report. Not doing it again. But if you want to know the Cliff Notes, Ryan Dunn was the best defender in the class last year, according to everybody that scouted these things. That guy got 20 seconds against San Antonio, couldn't sniff the floor against Chicago, and only got 7 minutes last night against Toronto. Now, maybe there is a admission by the coaching staff of it doesn't matter if I have one good defender on the floor. The rest of the guys I have on the floor are not going to be able to give me the defensive effort. So I cannot focus on defense. Now, mind you, we've said you should play Ryan Dunn more. You should put him out there in those key moments in the fourth quarter when you have to have a stop, right? You make it a 2-point game. Can we get Ryan Dunn on the floor then? Can we have him guard who we think is the most important player for the opposing team? Make them earn those points if they're going to. Anything about that 18-4 run that they had in the fourth quarter, did any of it seem difficult? Did any of it seem like they really had to work for it? Or was it just open shot after open shot after open shot? Easy bucket after easy bucket. You don't think Ryan Dunn could have at least impacted that a little bit? Make them work for it a little bit more? Make it a little bit more difficult? Now, again, maybe this coaching staff has come to the realization that, yeah, we have one good defender, but everybody else isn't good, and so we just have to outscore everybody. Maybe that realization has happened. Here's where I think this is a major problem. Because I want to see Nick Richards out there. If you're going to use him in a limited role, let him be physical for the first 9 minutes of the game, pick up a bunch of fouls, and let's just be aggressive. Start the game with Ryan Dunn. If you're not going to use these guys, give me Ryan Dunn and Nick Richards to start the game and let them just be, for 8-9 minutes, just be incredibly physical, Bring the defense for the first couple of minutes and just set a tone. And then if you want to sit those guys down for the rest of the game, if it doesn't work, fine. But this mixing and matching of, we're going to find like 2 minutes here and he's going to play the final 30 seconds of a quarter here, it just doesn't work. Either use Ryan Dunn and use him the way that he is most effective, or don't use him at all. And more often than not, the choice that Coach Bud has made is not using him at all. And this is where it is a worrying sign for the future. This is what scares me. There is a rightful objection to the potential of 4 coaches in 4 years. There is pushback on the idea of firing Coach Bud and then starting next year with your 4th head coach in 4 years. It doesn't make you look like a well-run organization. It doesn't make it look like you know what you're doing. It makes it look like you don't have a clue. It makes it look like you just lurch from bad decision to bad decision, and you just constantly are making bad choice after bad choice. That's a realistic objection to moving on from Coach Bud. But what concerns me is if Coach Bud's going to be here next year, if Coach Bud is going to get to see this transition through, if Coach Bud's going to get to see a retool, which we know is coming. We know that Kevin Durant more than likely is not going to be on this team next year. Devin Booker's future is somewhat up in the air. I'm not ready to have that conversation about moving him yet. I know there are some in town today that started that conversation. I will not be joining those calls today. If Coach Bud is going to be here next year and the year after and is going to get to see through at least the majority of the 5-year deal that he signed with this team to be the head coach, doesn't it worry you that Ryan Dunn isn't seeing time right now? Doesn't it worry you that the guy that's going to have to oversee Ryan Dunn's development has pinned him to the bench at a very key time of the season when you need defense and he's the best defender and his ability to grow? He was a rising star. As a rookie, he was a rising star. Made the rising star team in the All-Star game. Played on All-Star Sunday. That guy's not good enough for you right now to draw minutes? Is that the coach that I want to have oversee Ryan Dunn's development as a pro? Is there any guarantee that that what we're seeing right now with Ryan Dunn isn't just going to happen again next year? Or is next year going to be different? Is next year going to be, we don't have any expectations, so I'm going to let Ryan Dunn play. Ryan Dunn can play, 25, 30 minutes every single night, and we can work through the offensive issues, and he can just continue to be great defensively. We know Coach Bud has never been known for being a defensive-minded head coach. He was the complete opposite of what they had in Frank Vogel. I would love to see what Ryan Dunn's minutes look like and what Ryan's Dunn role would look like with Frank Vogel in charge here. Would love to see how different the minutes allocation would be for Ryan Dunn, who I remind you was a rising star this year. Got to participate in All-Star Weekend because he was one of the best rookies this year. Why? Wasn't because he was lighting it up on the offensive end. It was in large part because of what he was doing on the defensive end. And so if you want to convince me that it is the right decision to stick with Coach Bud, I need to believe in his ability to see this transition through. I need to believe in his ability to develop these players so that when the next iteration is ready to go, they've got a young core to build around. And if you're telling me, Coach Bud's just a placeholder, by the time we get to the next iteration, we're just going to move on from him anyway, because that'll be 2-3 years down the road, then you are doing, it's Monday and we're breaking this out, organizational malpractice. You are stifling the development of a young player. What does Ryan Dunn need more than anything right now? He needs opportunity. He needs opportunity to get better at the offensive end. He needs minutes to be able to get better at the offensive end. And the Phoenix Suns, for whatever reason, in a season that is going down the tubes, in a season, if this team was chasing down Golden State's wins record in the regular season and it was working with Ryan Dunn on the bench, I would not have a kick coming to bring this up today. You are multiple games below 500. You are not a playoff team. Your season is spiraling down the toilet right now, and you're telling me that this team can't get Ryan Dunn more than 7 minutes over the course of 2 games, that he's not good enough to play more than 20 seconds against San Antonio? I'm sorry, I don't accept that. That's not good enough. And that scares me for the future. That scares me for next year's version of the team, because the next era of the Phoenix Suns is going to be predicated on their ability to develop players. They're going to trade Kevin Durant. They might trade Devin Booker. If they trade those two guys, or if they just trade KD, what are they getting back? Young players and draft picks. And you know what you have to do with young players and draft picks? You have to develop those players. You have to develop those draft picks. And right now, what I'm seeing with Mike Budenholzer and the way he is playing and developing Ryan Dunn scares me about his ability to do that. Scares me about his ability if this team gives him the keys to the retool, gives him the keys to oversee this rebuild. So yeah, it might not matter for this year, but for the next iteration of the Phoenix Suns, this absolutely matters. And it absolutely makes me petrified for Coach Bud to oversee this retool. It also scares me that it's pushing me towards wanting 4 coaches in 4 years. That's not a good place to push me. That's not a good place that you want me to feel. Just play Ryan Dunn more. He provides you so much value defensively. It also provides him the opportunity to get better so that this retool, this rebuild might be a little bit quicker because Ryan Dunn develops into a key contributor for the next playoff iteration of the Phoenix Suns. Coming up on the other side of the break, it is Combine Week. What might we learn about the Cardinals and their offseason plans? That's next, the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Listener rewards for you with the KDUS 1060 app. Download today to hear all of the national and local shows you love. That's the KDUS 1060 app.
In the concert event of a lifetime, come experience the unparalleled, dynamic energy of one of the most accomplished musicians of our time, Carlos Santana. Oneness Tour 2025, Friday, April 18th, Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater. Take a trip through the hits from Woodstock to Supernatural and beyond. On sale now at LiveNation.com, part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
Been to the Disneyland Resort before? Or haven't been here at all? Your next favorite thing about this place is waiting to be discovered. Sure, you might have been on It's a Small World. Who doesn't love that? But have you found your inner hero at Avengers Campus? Avengers Assemble! And maybe there was that one time you yo-ho-hoed on Pirates of the Caribbean. But have you rebelled against the First Order on Rise of the Resistance? Or have you dropped on in to check out Tiana's Bayou Adventure? Discover your next favorite thing about the Disneyland Resort. For a limited time, children ages 3 through 9 can visit a Disneyland Resort theme park for $50 per child with a special one-day, one-park ticket. Valid January 7, 2025 through March 20th, 2025. Park tickets and reservations required. Visit Disneyland.com for details.
A noisy garage door is a cry for help that often requires only simple maintenance. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello from A1 Garage Door Service. Don't wait until a simple garage door repair becomes a major problem. We fix garage doors fast and with quality parts designed to last a lifetime. Replacing the bottom rubber on your garage door can have a huge impact on the number of bugs you see in your garage and in your home. Call A1 Garage today and receive the best service, best parts, and best warranty in the industry.
A1 from day one.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Shedeur Sanders won't be throwing at the Combine, and once upon a time, that would have been viewed as a red flag. Quarterbacks who skipped out on throwing drills were often seen as hiding something, lacking confidence in their arm, or trying to mask mechanical flaws. But in today's NFL, that narrative no longer holds weight. The Combine isn't about on-field drills as much as it is about medical evaluations and team interviews, two areas where Sanders will participate. And he's far from the first QB to take this route. Just take last year, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, all opted to throw at their pro days instead, choosing familiar receivers in a controlled climate. Also, it's a calculated decision, and frankly, it does make sense at this position. So while some might view this as a knock on Sanders, history suggests otherwise. The draft process has evolved, and skipping the throwing portion of the Combine isn't a red flag. It's simply the new norm for top quarterbacks. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. I know what you're thinking. Football season's over. Sunday's going to feel a little emptier. Hey, keep your head up. don't get too down, because the most exciting day of the year is coming fast. That's right, it's St. Patrick's Day, or as we like to call it, Happy Dan Patrick's Day. No better way to celebrate than with Keeper's Heart Irish American Whiskey. It's a whiskey that brings people together, just like football, but with a little more Irish charm. Crafted with Irish tradition and American spirit, it's smooth enough to sip, bold enough to mix, and guaranteed to make March 17th feel like the MVP of celebrations. So if you're missing the thrill of game day, don't worry, because the real party is just getting underway. Grab a bottle of Keeper's Heart and let's raise a glass to the best time of the year. Find Keeper's Heart at your local store or buy it online, keepersheartwhiskey.com. And you can enjoy 15% off if you use the promo code DAN25. It's DAN25, 15% off. And as always, remember to taste responsibly.
Have you downloaded the KTUS 1060 app yet? Download today and get all of your favorite local and national shows right on your phone.
It's Combine Week. We will see a bunch of players run around in shorts and bench press, jump really high, run really fast. That's what we'll see over the next couple of days as the NFL Scouting Combine gets underway in Indianapolis. And it's probably our last check-in point before we get to NFL free agency. And we're going to hear from GMs and coaches all throughout the week. Monty will speak tomorrow, as will Jonathan Gannon. They will both meet with the media tomorrow, and I'm sure they'll say some things that we'll react to. I believe they speak tomorrow towards the tail end of the show, so it'll probably be a Wednesday reaction for us if they say anything that we can get to in real time, because if I remember looking at the schedule correctly, I think Monty speaks with the media around the time that we're done with the show, but maybe the graphic that I looked at is using East Coast time and time, who knows. So if something gets said that's worth reacting to while we're on the air tomorrow, we will certainly do so. But both of those guys scheduled to meet with the media tomorrow. And what could we gain from this week? What could we learn from this week? Well, I think there are two things that potentially are noteworthy. Thing one is you'll start to get the, I don't want to call them leaks, but you'll start to get the conversations of, oh, this team, they met with these guys, and oh, they're watching these guys up close and personal. They're in attendance for the linebackers or the quarterbacks or the running backs. You'll start to see those dots try to get connected, right? And you'll learn which positions teams are targeting and who they're visiting with and all of that kind of stuff. What's there to gain from that? Let me tell you, absolutely nothing. Don't read into any of that with any certainty. This is the time of year where there's smoke screens that get thrown out there. Teams try to throw other teams off the scent. Teams are looking at every position, every player. They're not going to just hand you their playbook and say, oh, we're just watching these guys. It's not what they're doing. They want to keep everybody off their toes. Now, it is important to see who they meet with, but just because you meet with somebody doesn't mean you're interested in drafting them. You may be talking to them to maybe get some information on another player, or you're talking to them to see, hey, would a team want to trade up for that guy? You're just in the information gathering process right now. But there is something that could come from this. And I've been at these events. I've seen this happen. I've seen it happen at the Senior Bowl. I know it's happened at the Combine. When you take the media and you have league personnel, coaches, GMs, front office people, scouts, when you put all of those people together for multiple days under the same roof, in the same hotels, in the same meeting spots, in the same bars, in the same restaurants, in the same lobbies, information starts to get shared. Not when it comes to the draft, but when it comes to free agency. I'll tell you right now, don't be surprised if we learn over the course of the next couple of days what teams Matt Stafford might be talking to get traded to. That might come out over the next couple of days. You may start to get some hints at where teams might be prioritizing their dollars in free agency. Why? Because when you have media and team personnel in the same building, it is going to be leaks galore. There's going to be information flowing all over the place. Some of it truthful, some of it not. But a lot of information is going to change hands and be thrown all over the place over the next couple of days. And you may start to see leaks of, the Titans really like blank with the number 1 pick. Or you may hear leaks of this team, the Raiders, might be interested in trying to move up. This is the type of stuff that you're going to hear over the next couple of days because a lot of it is going to come. Again, most of it, you can just file away and not forget about it, but just keep it off to the side. There might be some of the news that seemingly comes out of nowhere, that wasn't on anybody's radar. That's the stuff that makes you raise an eyebrow. That's the stuff that makes you go, maybe there's something there. This is an information gathering week. This is an information exchanging week. That's what this week is going to be for these teams and what it should be for you. So Monty's going to get asked about some free agents. He's going to get asked about the draft plans. He's going to get asked about a lot of different stuff. And he might give us something. He might give us some GM speak and not really give us a whole lot. Where we are going to learn the most is through things that Adam Schefter reports, things that Ian Rappaport reports. That's where you're going to get the most intel from this week. That's where we might learn the most about what the Cardinals might be up to this offseason. It is a short run from the end of the scouting combine to the beginning of the NFL free agency period. Combine runs through this weekend. It's March on Saturday. Start of the league year is usually the second, third week of March. You're going to have a 2-week run-up, basically. Before you know it, we're going to be talking about players signing with the Cardinals. The Cardinals missing out on some players. Free agency is going to be in full swing. This is where we start to get maybe our first hints as to what teams might be doing. Our first glimpse into what free agency might look like. You've got agents. You've got scouts. You've got coaches. You've got GMs. You've got media members. You've got all of these people under the same roof, under the same umbrella. Stuff's going to get shared. And we are going to get to be the people that reap the rewards from all of that information. We are going to get all that information to react to. So pay little attention to what players the Cardinals are looking at when they're doing drills. Somewhat pay attention to who they meet with. It is somewhat telling. But I think it's going to be the other stuff. It's going to be the ancillary information that we learn from all these different media members that is going to guide and is going to be our roadmap for the rest of the offseason. Because before you know it, free agency is going to be here and the Cardinals are going to be signing players. So we'll see. We'll hear from Monty and Jonathan Gannon tomorrow. We'll see what they have to say. We'll see where they're at in their scouting process, where they're at in the draft process, where they're at in their free agency process. It is our check-in point with them. And before you know it, it's going to be April, and the draft's going to be here, and the Cardinals are going to be on the clock with the 16th overall pick. Happens that quickly. Super Bowl felt like it was 2 days ago. Cardinals are going to be signing players for their 2025 roster before we know it. And so this is where breadcrumbs is what you're going to get this week. Breadcrumbs. And you'll have a major story or two from the national perspective. And my guess is it's going to be Matt Stafford related. That would be my guess. Because this is where GMs also kind of get together. This is where some groundwork can get laid for some trades, right? The Brian Burns trade that happened last year between the Giants and the Panthers, the groundwork for that laid in Mobile at the Senior Bowl because both GMs were on the field together and they started just talking shop and the framework of a deal started to come together. That also can happen when you put GMs and personnel people under the same roof. So Stafford's my guess on the big thing that happens, or at least we learned something about that this week at the Combine. But don't be surprised if we get a national story or two outside of Stafford this week. Coming up on the other side of the break, is the rest of the league starting to tell us that this season is over for the Phoenix Suns? That's next on the lunch break, KDUS, AM 1060.
Your morning drive just got a little better. The Dan Patrick Show is live weekday morning starting at 6 exclusively on KDUS, AM 1060.
Hosier presents the Unreal Unearthed Tour 2025, live in Phoenix.
Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater, October 7th. With special guest, Amble. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The #1 album, Unreal Unearth, is available everywhere. For more, visit hosier.com.
Here's a definition of a win-win situation. Getting your windshield repaired or replaced and getting a guaranteed minimum of at least $100 all the way up to $375 cash back in your pocket. Time for you to check out New Vision Auto Glass. See clearly, drive safely. See what I did there? Give them a call at 480-210-9090 or go to newvisionautoglass.com to see what kind of incentives and cash back you qualify for. Look, the valley heat, potholes, flying rocks, it's only a matter of time until your windshield gets cracked or chipped. So why not get the experts to come to you? Repair or replace your windshield, give you instant cash back of up to $375, and give you dinner from Rodizio Grill. Wait, hold up. 30-second, $375, new windshield, dinner. You know what? I was wrong. It's not a win-win situation. It's a win-win-win-win. And it all starts with calling 480-210-9090 or going to newvisionautoglass.com, taking 30 seconds to fill out a form to get cash in your pocket, repair or replace your windshield, dinner at Rodizio Grill, and peace of mind. To me, the choice is clear. New Vision Auto Glass, proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Hey, it's Pat. The other day at work, they brought in pizza for lunch, so I swooped in and I grabbed 3 slices. The coworker next to me said, "Geez, Pat, you can't have it all." Then I corrected him and said, "Yeah, I can, and you can too, with a new 2025 Toyota truck. Power and performance, capability and reliability." Well, I must have convinced him because he grabbed the plate out of my hand and he said, "Good point, Pat."
Right now, get 1.99% financing for 72 months on a new 2025 Tundra SR or SR5. Or get 4.99% 60-month financing on a new 2025 Camry or Tacoma. Plus, check out great lease deals on any new Toyota. Visit your Valley Toyota dealer or valleytoyotadealers.com today. Toyota, let's go places. 1.99% with $14.75 per thousand borrowed for 72 months. 4.99% with $18.87 per thousand borrowed for 60 months. Zero down payment if you qualify. Offers end 3/3/25. See dealer for details.
Only 50% of Arizonans believe their health insurance will cover them in a major medical emergency, like a car accident or an unexpected life-changing diagnosis. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Arizona aims to change that perception. AZ Blue often takes care of more than 99% of hospital charges in major emergencies, protecting you and your family from devastating financial consequences. To learn more about how AZ Blue protects its members, head to azblue.com/true story.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings from 6 to 9 a.m.
This is just something I like to call breakfast.
With big name guests, timely sports information, and more on KDUS AM 1060.
The rest of the NBA either is confident enough now to start talking about it, or they're just rubbing salt into the wound that is the Phoenix Suns season. Because in a story today on ESPN.com from Tim Bontemps, he talked to a bunch of insiders in the NBA on a series of 10 questions. Talked to some executives from around the league on 10 different questions with the rest of the season to go. Things like Luka Doncic and his fit in LA, how things are going to shake out in the East. None of that matters to us here on this program. What I care about is anything related to the Phoenix Suns, and you bet that the Phoenix Suns got mentioned in this story. And I'll tell you, it is very much a case of, hey, thanks. Thanks for coming to the party. You're late. We've been having this party for a little bit now. We've been having this conversation for the last couple of weeks and if not months. So you're a little late, but we welcome you. Because one of the questions that was asked was about who will lose the play-in battle in the West. Here is what a Western Conference executive said about the Suns. Quote, Phoenix, which is wild to say, they look like they can't stand being around each other, end quote. And it's these quotes, which is why I wanted to discuss this story today. Because again, I think there's part of this that is a lot of people don't like the way Matt Ishbia has conducted himself. They don't like the fact that he's spent as much money as he has. That he went out and just traded for Kevin Durant on his first day, then that offseason traded for Bradley Beal, and has just been breaking stuff all over the place in a pursuit of a championship. There are a lot of owners and executives in the NBA that probably don't like what Matt Ishbia is doing to the sport by conducting himself in that way. So there's part of me that wanted to bring this up because I do think it is throwing salt in the wound and they are taking their chance to kick the Suns while they're down. But I do think there's also some value in seeing the way other organizations are viewing the Phoenix Suns. Because one of the other questions that was asked right after losing the play-in battle in the West, can the league's two most disappointing teams, Phoenix and Philly, figure things out? One Western Conference executive said, quote, "I've never been high on Phoenix, but there's also no way they are this bad," end quote. Isn't that one sentence? Isn't that one sentence from that Western Conference executive the tagline for the entire season? When we went into the year, I tried to paint the rosy picture of a season of redemption, right? But the whole idea was, I don't know if this team should have run it back. Because I don't know if they can win a championship. But I didn't expect this, which is exactly what this Western Conference executive is saying. They weren't high on Phoenix. Never been high on Phoenix. Didn't expect them to compete for a championship. But there's also no way they are this bad. Right. There's no reason why this team should be this bad. And when you have other executives from other teams pointing it out, here's what concerns me. Why? I want to know why they're this bad. I want to get to the bottom of how did we get here? Why are we here? What put us in this situation? Because unless we can diagnose that, unless we can figure that out, I don't know what the future looks like. Because there's more. An Eastern Conference scout, quote, "I would be more optimistic long-term in Philly than Phoenix long-term because despite the contracts, they have draft capital and some flexibility." Now, the Suns are going to be able to get some of that flexibility back, and they're going to get some of that draft capital back if and when they trade Kevin Durant this summer. If they choose to pursue trades for Devin Booker this summer, they'll gain back some flexibility. They will gain back draft capital. Now, they won't have the young pieces like a Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, as this scout points out, but they'll at least have the draft picks and some flexibility with their salaries because they'll get two big salaries off their books. Again, if they choose to go down that path. But here is what another Western Conference executive said of Phoenix this season. Quote, "It feels like the wheels have fallen off," end quote. None of that is outlandish. None of that is out of line. None of that is wrong. This season has seen the wheels fall off. They're just a couple of games removed from being the 13th best team in the Western Conference. If that's not the wheels falling off of a season, I don't know what is. I don't know why this team is this bad. I don't know why this team can't defend at all. And I'm not saying you have to be the best defensive team in the league. Can you be league average? Can you be top 20 defensively? Because over the last 2 weeks, you've been playing defense like one of the worst teams in the NBA. How has this team fallen so far? And that's not just a question that we're asking here in town. That question is being asked from around the league. Now, there are probably some people out there that are enjoying seeing this misery. There are probably some executives and some owners out there that are happy to see the Suns crashing and burning, seeing them fail, seeing this attempt at just avoiding all of the rules. Now, they're going to pay a big tax bill, but not caring about how big that tax bill is. There's probably some people inside the league that are smiling, around the league that are smiling and saying, yeah, that's what you get for trying to be so bold. That's what you get for just not caring at all how much money you spend. And by the way, those teams are also probably laughing because they're getting a cut of that money. You spent all this money, you're this bad, and we're getting some of that cash. You aren't even getting a championship out of it. So there is probably part of that. But there are also some really, really good questions that come from some of these quotes. How did we get here? How are we at a place where people are questioning how this team is this bad? How did we get to a place where we're talking about the wheels falling off? If this team was just hovering around the 6, 7, or 8 seed, I don't know if we would be that surprised. It's where they were last year. It's what they were doing last year. I don't think we would have this pain that we're having right now. I don't think we would be having this existential crisis about what the future of this franchise holds. And it's a question that isn't just isolated here in Phoenix. It is a question that a lot of people around the league are asking. How has this team fallen so far? How did they get here? And if the Suns can't answer that question correctly, if they can't get to the root of that problem, then I don't know if they're going to be able to turn this around quick enough. I don't know what it is. We did the blame pie a couple of weeks ago of what got them into this situation, and we said it's on the players. Is it just changing players? Is it just giving up on this iteration? Having a new iteration with Coach Bud and with James Jones and with Matt Ishbia? Is that all it is? Is it changing personnel in the front office? Is it cleaning house all across the board? 3 levels worth of cleaning? Is it? I don't know. I don't know, because every time I turn on this team on the television and I watch them play basketball, I get more and more confused with each passing game, because I am more and more confused that a team with this talent can play this poorly. Kevin Durant is a prideful basketball player. Devin Booker was 2 wins away from winning an NBA championship. Bradley Beal was stuck in Washington, not winning anything. You would think that these guys would want to see this through and would want to make the playoffs, and yet there is a disconnect. There's a disconnect of what I think this team should be effort-wise and what I think this team should bring intensity-wise and what they are actually bringing on a night-to-night basis. So to go back to that other quote, they look like they can't stand being around each other. It looks like a bunch of pointing fingers at one another as to how did we get into this mess. And the moment you lose the locker room, the moment you lose those guys, it is over. It is done. There is no coming back from that. That's where this team is right now. And the rest of the league starting to make it somewhat public how they feel. Again, a little late to the party. You could have joined us. We've been talking about this for months now. So you could have been with us when we were doing this in December and in January and at the start of February and around the trade deadline. But there's nothing in here that is outlandish. There's nothing in here that is wrong. And the fact that another executive is saying they look like they can't stand being around each other, that's it. That's the death knell for a team. When you have other executives saying it looks like their culture's just gone, it's non-existent, that they're not a team, that's it. It's over. So, yeah, they're 1.5 games out of a playoff spot, and yes, they should still try. But if they can't stand being around each other, and it truly is a problem in-house, then it doesn't matter. This is the defensive effort you're going to see every night. This is what it's going to look like every single night over, I don't even know, 26 games, 25 games to go the rest of the way? This team is going to go down in history as one of the biggest disappointments in Arizona sports history. When you look at all of the teams that have been here, when you look at the talent level, the expectations of what they should be, this team will go down in history as one of the biggest disappointments. You know what? File it away. On tomorrow's show, we're going to do a list. I'll do the research, and we will put together a list of the top 5 biggest disappointments in Arizona sports history, considering expectation, considering talent, considering it all. I will attempt to put that together. We'll either do it tomorrow or on Wednesday's show. Because this team, right up there. And not just this year, but the year before. This entire iteration of the Phoenix Suns. The Booker, Durant, and then for some time of it, the Bradley Beal era of Phoenix Suns basketball will go down as one of the biggest disappointments in this city's sports history. Coming up on the other side of the break, we wrap up today's edition of The Lunch Break. We've got some ASU basketball to talk about, some news from the NFL Scouting Combine, and more. It is all part of The Leftovers, and we'll do it next here on The Lunch Break, KDUS AM 1060.
It gets a little crazy in the sports zoo sometimes. Listen weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. with The Rooster right here on KDUS AM 1060.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, Peter Frampton. Let's Do It Again Tour, June 25th, Arizona Financial Theater. Grammy winner, the one and only Peter Frampton. On sale now at livenation.com.
At the Phoenix Zoo, we are the home of and which also makes us the home of Phoenix Zoo. That zoo we are. For tickets, hours, and much more, visit phoenixzoo.org.
Hi, welcome to the IKEA Dream Bedroom event. I've been extra sleepy lately. Glad I made it here. And you're in luck. IKEA family members save 15% on all bed frames and bedside tables.
Ooh.
Plus, free shipping on small orders over $50.
Am I still dreaming?
It's for real. Save even more with buy one, get 50% off deals on table lamps, curtains, and more.
Nice.
Shop the IKEA Dream Bedroom event in-store or online today.
Offer valid 2/19 to 3/17/25. U.S. only while supplies last. Selection may vary. See store and ikea-usa.com/sleep for details. Restrictions apply.
Hey, Mike Barrow from Barrow's Pizza here. The way we see it, family isn't just a cherished thing, it's everything. For us, that starts with our Grandma Angelina's family recipes, brought over from Sarconi, Italy, like our sweet and tangy pizza sauce, 100% real mozzarella, and our fresh dough made every morning. And because every Barrow's is family-owned, never franchised, we personally make sure the quality's there at every location. So stop in and give Barrow's Pizza a try. It's authentic food from our family to yours.
Every Monday night, check out Ray Adams as he hosts the Monday Night Golf and Lifestyle Show from 6 to 7 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060.
Back to wrap up today's edition of The Lunch Break here on KDUS AM 1060. Make sure you download the KDUS AM 1060 app. Take us with you on the go. We got a lot of action this week here. We've got the final run for the NAU men's basketball team, right? Their regular season coming to an end. Same thing with ASU women's basketball. And then we've also got their conference tournaments coming up. ASU baseball is in full swing. Also got a little bit of an announcement potentially to make later on this week that I'm pretty excited about. So you're going to want to have the KDUS AM 1060 app downloaded and readily available on your phone so that you can join us wherever you are when you're on the go. Maybe you're not in your car and you want to be able to listen to everything we got going on here on KDUS AM 1060. Maybe you're in the backyard, you're working, and you want to be locked into ASU baseball and you don't have a radio, but you got your phone. Boom, connect that thing to a speaker. You're listening to ASU baseball and you're listening to Tim Healy call some Sun Devil baseball, okay? So download the KDUS AM 1060 app today. It is your one-stop shop for everything that we do here on KDUS AM 1060. We do have to talk some ASU sports. We do have to talk some ASU basketball. They did pick up a win against Kansas State yesterday, but it is not the on-the-field product or on-the-court product that I want to talk about today. Because, yes, they did snap a losing streak and beat Kansas State in Kansas State 66-54. No, that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about how the leading scorer of this team, a senior in B.J. Freeman, no longer with the team, no longer with the program because of, quote, conduct detrimental to the team. A spokesperson confirmed to the AP on Sunday. The senior, averaging 13.7 points per game in 25 games. Last played for the Sun Devils on Tuesday in their loss to Houston. He was ejected in back-to-back games against Colorado and Arizona in conference play. Then he was suspended by the team in their road loss against Oklahoma State on February 9th. That ejection against Arizona was for a headbutt, if you remember correctly, of Caleb Love. And so why do I want to talk about this? Because I think this just adds to the list of what has been a disappointing season for Arizona State basketball. Now, I don't think it would make our top 5 list that we're going to make at some point this week here on the show. But it is a disappointment because the talent level that this team brought in was supposed to lead this team to a tournament berth. It was supposed to lead this team to making some level of noise in the Big 12 in year one. They were supposed to be somewhat of a factor. Not win the whole thing, not bring it to Houston or to the big dogs in the Big 12, but they were supposed to be relevant. They were not supposed to be 13 and 14 and a non-entity when it comes to the NCAA tournament. And now you have a senior, not a freshman. I could buy it if it was a freshman, right? A freshman learning basketball or learning how to play at the collegiate level, not being able to control his emotions, a young player trying to figure things out. I could wrap my head around a freshman having a couple of ejections, getting suspended, and this happening and being sent away from the program for conduct detrimental to the team. I could buy that. A senior, been around the block, been there, done that, knows how to handle himself, is more of an adult than the freshman in the room, gets suspended once, gets ejected twice, missed 3 games, then gets completely removed from the team, the leading scorer, guy's supposed to be a leader. And that's not only a bad indictment of B.J. Freeman, but it's also a bad indictment of Bobby Hurley. And with each passing day, with each passing thing that happens here, I just can't see a world where Bobby Hurley comes back next year. I just can't see it. I can't see a world where this season that has been filled with so much turmoil, and it's unfair, but compare basketball's debut in the Big 12 to football's debut in the Big 12. Compare those two things. Compare the way ASU football is handling themselves with the way ASU basketball is handling themselves. Compare the job that Kenny Dillingham has done in just a couple of years to the job that Bobby Hurley has done in over a decade. Those two resumes are not even close. And so with more and more time that passes and the closer and closer that we get to the end of the season, it just feels like a clean break and a reset is important. Because this team's going to enter year 2 of the Big 12 next year. And if Bobby Hurley comes back and they continue to struggle, they are going to fall further and further behind these teams in the Big 12. When you bring in a new coach, no matter the sport, it takes a couple years, right? We're lucky with what Kenny was able to do in 2 years. Normally it takes about 3 years, 3-4 years to get your culture instituted, to get your recruiting classes in there, to be able to hit the transfer portal and have a roster that is more in line with the new coach's vision for the program. That takes time. And so if you are going to transition, you want to hit the ground running with that. Because if it's going to take 2 or 3 years, that's going to be year 4, year 5 for you in the Big 12, while all these other teams, all these other programs, Kansas, Houston, all these teams that have been there, done that, they have a leg up on you. They're going to have a further leg up on you while you change coaches, while you change cultures, while you're in a state of transition. If you're going to do it, rip the Band-Aid off now. Don't wait another year and have another year of uncertainty. Have another year of missed opportunities. Another year of disappointment. And that kicks the can further down the road and makes it more challenging for you to compete in the Big 12. If you're going to make a change, you need to make it sooner rather than later. And with news like this and these stories coming out, I just can't see a world where Bobby gets another chance next year. And it's disappointing. There was so much optimism, so much excitement when he got here, and it just feels like we have been on a slow trajectory downward from the moment that he got here. Incredibly disappointing. Some Combine news. Shedeur Sanders will not work out at the Combine for teams. He's going to be there. He's going to meet with teams. He is going to sit down for those interviews, but he is not going to throw and work out at the Combine. We are not sure if he is going to go through the medical exams yet that all these prospects are scheduled to do at the Combine. We don't know yet. He is supposed to throw next month at his pro day, at Colorado's pro day. Most of the time, these quarterbacks wait until then. Caleb Williams didn't throw at the Combine. Jane Daniels didn't throw at the Combine. Drake May didn't throw at the Combine. They went 1, 2, and 3. So this does not impact your draft stock, but he is not going to throw at the Combine. Will throw at his pro day. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May last year did not throw at the Combine. They went 1, 2, and 3, no problem. So he's going to be there. He's going to meet with teams. The quarterbacks are scheduled to be there on Tuesday. The on-field workouts for the quarterbacks are on Saturday, so the Tuesday through Saturday period will be where he does his interviews. And so he is going to meet with teams. We know that for sure. He's going to meet with teams in Indy. And so you're looking at Tennessee talking to him. You're looking at The Browns probably talking to him. I'm sure the Giants and the Jets will be talking to him. All the teams that we have inside the top 10, the Raiders that are going to be looking for quarterbacks, I think they are going to be sitting down with Shedeur Sanders to see where he's at. Because there's a lot of questions about Shedeur both on and off the field. I have kind of been out on Shedeur as a pro prospect. Didn't necessarily love the way he handled himself sometimes at Colorado, the way he made it a little bit more about him than he did about the team. Just didn't love that, and I just don't know if his leadership style would play in an NFL locker room. I have questions about that. Guess what? The teams are going to be able to answer that when they ask him some really key questions, also some really confusing questions, and some questions that don't even matter at all when they sit down. But looking inside the top 10, right? Tennessee, Cleveland, the Giants, teams picking 1, 2, and 3, all going to be interested in the quarterback market, at least somewhat. The Raiders at 6, the Jets at 7. I think the Saints at 9, depending on what they do, if they bring back Derek Carr or not, could be in the mix at the quarterback position. So those are the teams that I expect to sit down with both Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. Might also sit down with Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart. I think those are your teams to pay attention to. The teams picking in the top 3, Tennessee, Cleveland, the Giants, the Raiders and Jets at 6 and 7, and the Saints inside the top 10. Now, I do think there'll be some teams outside there that will meet with these quarterbacks. I don't know how many of them are going to get outside the top 10. I think Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders will both go inside the top 10. So those are your potential landing spots. And truthfully, this is the first time in a really long time where I think the draft is somewhat up in the air. I don't know if Tennessee's going to go quarterback. I don't know if Cleveland's going to go quarterback. I don't know if the Giants will go quarterback. The Raiders, the Jets, I think the Raiders are more apt to go quarterback than the Jets are. But who knows what these teams might do. And so Shedeur Sanders following in the footsteps of a lot of other quarterbacks now that won't throw at the combine, that instead will just throw at their pro day where it's more structured, it's more routine for them. They're able to refine it more and make it more complementary of their skills. They're able to structure their pro day in a way that allows them to showcase their skills a little bit better. It's a better representation for them. The combine, they don't have control over the drills. They don't have control over the coaches that are there. Whereas at a pro day, the word I was looking for, scripted. You can script it out exactly the way that you want. One more story for you, and we'll go to baseball. As the Yankees just keep making news after they change their ban of facial hair, they are now making a new change. Now, I don't know how many of you know this. I don't know how many of you care about this. But after wins, the Yankees played New York, New York from Frank Sinatra. For a while, they were playing That's Life by Frank Sinatra, which was a 1966 recording of a 1963 song. They used to play that after losses. But for a while, they were just playing New York, New York after both wins and losses. Some Yankees fans got upset about that. And so just a couple of days after they announced the change of the facial hair ban, they now are also endearing themselves to their fans because after their loss on Sunday, they did not play New York, New York. They did play That's Life, which made sense. Yankees fans and people from New York, I'm from New York, so I can attest to this. That's Life's a better indicator after you lose, where New York, New York is better played after a win. Just made sense all across the board. So the Yankees doing a lot of off-the-field stuff. Now, Giancarlo Stanton's not getting on the field. He's been sent back to New York for some tests as we are in full spring training mode all across the board. But the Yankees making some off-the-field changes. Maybe get their fans a little bit less upset with them. That's going to do it for us here on today's edition of the show. Jim Rome is next. Producer Dylan, thank you for all that you do. Everybody, make it a great rest of your Monday. We'll talk to you tomorrow. See ya!